Welcome back, everybody. It's the real Big Three. We are a day late, but we are not $1 short. The three are back here, although Jonas is on a bomb-style countdown here. You can follow him on the Twitter at Jonas Nader. I'm here with Dan Bespris as well from Hoopball at Dan Bespris, and I am Scott Bogman at Bogman Sports. But Jonas, you NBC, you're on your work computer. They're going to have to send a security patch to you, and you have a literal countdown to where you can't stop it, and it's going to happen. So you're definitely on bomb watch right now, right?
We're at 29 minutes and 50 seconds. So the 8 minutes I spend rambling about Jaren Jackson Jr., we'll just cut that completely out, and we should be fine. But I'll try and talk a little quicker today.
Man, I don't know. Is it going to be a real Big Three if you're not rambling on about your boy, your son, JJJ? So. Yeah. But we'll start with you. You can go first, Dan, or Jonas, excuse me, because you're on the countdown. So please lead us off here. What do you got?
Well, Dan actually wrote my first topic for me. So
I knew it was coming.
Well, yeah. He predicted this, so I got to give him props. So DeAnthony Melton was on pace for a DNP CD yesterday, which is just beyond me. For some reason, Taylor Jenkins thinks Dillon Brooks and Grayson Allen are the greatest players ever. He must collect their top shot moments or basketball cards or whatever it is. But there is no excuse for not playing Melton. 3 minutes? Are you kidding me? We are talking about a Marcus Smart type defender already. He's a secondary playmaker. He has that ability. And he's a better shooter than Grayson Allen and Dillon Brooks right now. The only difference is they're allowed to take 20 shots and make 3 of them. But if Melton goes 3 of 6, God forbid, he's sitting the next game. So what I don't get is, how do you play Justice Winslow 28 minutes after missing an entire year when Melton's hit 28 minutes like 3 times in his life? This just makes no sense to me. I don't know why Taylor Jenkins hates Melton. I don't know if he keyed his car or something, but it's bizarre. I don't get it. And I'm just hoping and praying that the second half breakout is coming if Taylor Jenkins wakes up for some reason.
All right, well, let's take Jonas out of I feel like Jonas is almost too close to the Memphis situation here because he has wanted every coach fired. Jonas won't be happy until Jonas Nader is the head coach of the Memphis Grizzlies. So
right.
And it makes sense. But Dan, where are you at as far as Melton goes? Do you think we're at some point this year we're going to want to go pick him up, or is he just going to keep getting 3 minutes?
I thought he had his little window to value when Grayson Allen went down, and then he got hurt himself and the whole thing came apart. It's I put this in Jonas's file for today's show. I planted it, but if it wasn't in his, it was going to be in mine because it's weird. It's super weird.
This is the biggest leading the witness I've ever seen.
Yeah, totally. But they paid this dude. They gave him a contract. It was like, oh, this guy's part of our future, and then he's just cast aside like garbage. I mean, everyone on the Grizzlies gets 22 minutes a ball game. They're like 14 deep, except for DeAnthony Melton, Gorgie Jang, and John Conchar. These are the guys that got lumped in the you only play 3 minutes in a blowout category. It's super weird. I don't get it at all. It seems like he's deep in the doghouse because like ability is not the reason for this. And so I think you always have to keep one eye on it for whatever magical thing he needs to do to get Taylor Jenkins to stop hating him. If that thing flips and he goes back to mid-20s, he's a great fantasy player. So I don't think we can quit him. But yeah, I mean, there's no rant I could have that's nearly as good as Jonas's because his pain is deeper than mine. It's dumb, man. It's dumb.
It is. Yeah. And it's not like you can't pinpoint it. Like, what is it? Is he a bad practice player? Is he a bad teammate? Like, what is the reasoning behind this? Like, we'll just give us a reason, right, Jonas? That's all you want.
I follow, I think, 10 beat writers for the Grizzlies, and all of them are mystified. They have no idea why Melton isn't playing, and that kind of says everything. And they're never going to get an answer from Taylor Jenkins either. He is never one to give a reason for letting Dillon Brooks take 20 shots. It was the same thing last year. They let Jay Crowder take 20 shots when he was hitting 30% from 3. It never made any sense.
Yeah, and it continues to not make sense. So hopefully this time next week, we'll be talking about how we thought DeAnthony Melton was dead, and then they started giving him minutes back. So fingers crossed, but not expectations high. So I love the mysteriousness of this next subject that you have, Jonas. So
Okay.
let's hear. You underestimate the sneakiness.
Okay, so
go
I
ahead.
Yes, Mr. Deeds.
I have a bizarre track record of finding gems out of the G League. Okay, it's something weird about me. I don't know. It's because I play in a bunch of like 80 team dynasty leagues, it seems, but I'm always looking in the G League. And you remember, like, how many times have we seen a player like Hassan Whiteside? Do you remember when he just came onto the Miami Heat and started triple doubling with blocks and stuff like that? Just stupid production. We saw Robert Covington come out of the G League, dominate. Chris Boucher is the latest example of someone coming out of the G League a couple years ago and absolutely dominating, the second best PER in the league. There's another guy, guys. He's on my radar. His name is Moses Brown, and he plays for the Thunder. The Thunder just got richer. They are the most stacked young team. I would have said the Grizzlies last year, but I think the Thunder are closing in really fast. A 7-foot, 250-pound center, 7'2", sorry, who runs the floor like a deer. He's pretty fast for his size. He missed a free throw the other day and caught the rebound from the line and dunked it immediately. It was insane. He plays for the Thunder, and here's the thing. All he needs is an Al Horford trade, which before the season we just said there's no chance someone's taking that contract, but he's been pretty damn good, right? So I'm thinking if Horford is moved, Moses Brown's the next man up, and he's averaging 20 points, 15 rebounds, an assist, a steal, and almost 3 blocks in 26 minutes in the G League. Just an incredible raw talent. I think he's probably the sneakiest trade deadline stash out there that no one's going to be on.
I love this. I heard, Dan, you were talking about yesterday how you pretty much want to throw away all Thunder that aren't SGA or Maladon.
Yeah, basically.
Is this a guy that, like, as soon as he gets the call, if Horford should get moved or something happens, that you're snapping up?
I can honestly say that today is the first day I've talked about Moses Brown. I had to look up the name of their G League team. It's the Blue. That's kind of cool, actually. I like singular named teams. I mean, I think you could squat on someone like an Isaiah Roby also as sort of like the nearer of the two pieces. But yeah, I mean, he's a giant. I'm looking at his numbers while Jonas is talking about him. He played in the G League last year as well. It looks like he was with Texas.
He was half the player he was this year. He took a complete turnaround. It was pretty impressive.
I don't know anything about this kid, so I shouldn't speak further. He appears to be like a 21-year-old kid. That's about it. Yep. That's about as much as I know.
Yep.
21 and 15. It looks like he's averaging.
Massive player, amazing athlete. Like you said, Isaiah Roby's going to be the player we're all stashing, right? Because he's not really a secret with Horford trade rumors. You're going to pick up Roby.
Yeah,
not wanting to beat the market on a guy that's going to come out of nowhere, kind of like Hassan Whiteside did. No one was on Whiteside back in the day. Remember? We remember looking him up and like, oh wow, this guy was playing in the YMCA like 10 minutes from my house last year, playing pickup games, and now he's playing for the Heat and triple doubling. That's how Whiteside hit us. This feels like a similar situation, and he's going to be landing on a team that's in a rebuild right now.
Dude, we got a story about Whiteside when he's playing in Lebanon about how he had a deal with some burger stand or burger joint or something, and he was eating burgers on the bench when he was playing in Lebanon.
Awesome.
And I was like, that sounds like something Whiteside.
My friends, I have friends that played pickup with him a year before he signed with the Heat in Charlotte. Just playing.
That's amazing.
Why? Yeah, and just what a story that was.
Yeah, people are like, why don't you play hoops at your local gym by you? And I'm like, because Mike Bibby plays by me. So
yeah,
what am I?
I remember Isaiah Ryder used to play at the Cal college gym. He just wandered
really?
There. Yeah, that was kind of cool. I was like, what? Hey, wait. No one else. I don't think anybody else even recognized him.
Like, hey, are you that guy? You know,
don't you dweebs watch basketball? Am I the only one here?
And after that, some NASA scientist walks by and you're like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
What's the next one, Jonas? I like this one too. You have some killer subjects here.
Yeah, so I like Nick Claxton a lot. He's a guy that I've mentioned a ton. Has had that shoulder surgery followed by knee tendinopathy. How do you say that? Tendinopathy or whatever it's called. It's tendinitis. Okay, we'll go for that. But he's really exciting. 10 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 4 steals, and 2 blocks in 15 minutes yesterday. The best part about it wasn't garbage time either. He had a really good stint in the second and third quarter.
And Nash was talking him up, wasn't he?
Yeah, and Nash was all over him this morning. He was saying, I think he said the word upside like 14 times. And remember back last year, I talked about him last year, and Spencer Dinwiddie had a quote that really turned our heads. He was like, "Yeah, Claxton's the second most talented player in this team behind Kyrie, and you guys are going to be shocked when you see him." So this is like the third game we've actually seen from him like the last year, and the only player in front of him is DeAndre Jordan. And when DeAndre Jordan plays, the Nets give up 120 points per night. So not that hard to see a path to 20 minutes here. A 7-footer or near 7-footer that played point guard in college. Really talented player, super fast, really good point guard handles, good defender too, like we saw the stats last night. So this is a guy that you're probably going to have to beat the market to. One more good game, and I'm sold as a pickup just to see what happens, because the Nets are putting up 130 points per night, it seems like. So they're playing at a super high pace, and we know they're going to be resting their studs here and there. So I'm on board with the Claxton hype train for sure.
And Jeff Green banged up, and Durant, we find out, is gone until at least the All-Star game, Dan.
Right.
So, I mean, this all makes sense to me.
Yeah, I'm you know me, I'm Captain Buzz Killington over here. I don't know if I don't
Who
know
wants
if
to hear a nice
clear.
story about a bridge?
I don't know. I don't see him getting over about 16 minutes a ball game, which might end up being enough if he can do that Time Lord Nerlens type of thing. I just
Love it.
feel like I need him on a worse basketball team badly. Because he'll his field goal percent, his blocks, his rebounds, all that kind of stuff just screams massive producer in 20 some odd minutes a night. I just don't think he's getting it this year.
I mean, I like the ad too, but I do like. I appreciate that Jonas's mindset for a lot of stuff is these deep leagues, because, like you said, you play in the 30-man leagues, so you're always looking for that kind of orbital talent. Is what I'm trying to say. Is guys that they're probably not going to be on a 12-man squad, but if you're 14 with deeper benches, or 16, or 20 to 30 man, somewhere in that ridiculous range, these are guys that you're looking for. So,
or if they have to give him up to get some old goat back, he could end up playing more elsewhere.
Yeah, like Jonas just said, upside was mentioned a bunch of times. So if someone's down there and they have a player that could help you this year, and you can pick up a guy like Claxton and maybe flip him later after a couple, a little nice run there, that's a good strategy as well. So
a good example. Look what Jared Allen's doing in Cleveland now.
Yeah.
Right. We've been screaming out Jared Allen's upside, and now we're seeing it on a different team. So another good example.
Yeah.
Look at
it.
Yeah.
People watching the video feed got a little special treat.
They got the hook 'em.
Get a DJ Augustine mixtape rolling in the background.
Yeah, that's right. It's on permanent loop here in the Bogman household.
Why? Who is this guy collecting all the DJ Augustine top shots?
We're going to talk about top shots too, because that's going to be my first thing. But let's go to you, Dan, before Jonas has to before Jonas blows up and turns into
we're
a
on a great run. Right, I got 18 minutes left. We're doing good right now.
Got tons of time left.
Killing it.
I'll throw it to you, Dan. What's number one for you?
Stashes, because the All-Star break affords us this nice week where you can stash a guy and it doesn't hurt you at all. And I have seen, I wrote down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 names that I've seen dropped in my leagues over the last, and they're pretty competitive leagues too. Kevin Love, Aaron Gordon, Karis LeVert, DeLon Wright, DeAndre Hunter, TJ Warren, Larry Nance have all ended up on wires in different leagues I'm in. Curious who on that list, because you guys can see it, and I don't think everybody else can. I don't know how easy it is to post into a chat window. Of those guys, who are the most intriguing for you two? For me, it's probably DeLon Wright and Larry Nance, just because it seems like they'll probably be back the soonest among them. But also, there's some really interesting guys that are getting sort of cast aside by teams that are struggling, that can't afford to hold an injured dude. So, Bogman, I'll go to you first. What are you liking on this list?
Do we have a window on Warren yet?
No,
Not really, no.
So and by the way, I'm posting this in the room, by the way. That's why
sweet.
I got a little distracted there. But I think Hunter, we're hearing some good things about recently, right? Then DeLon Wright, because he has a window. And then Gordon. The other guys, I don't know, man. I'm just not interested in stashing Kevin Love, especially if I'm on the borderline. You know what I mean? If I'm on the
Yeah.
borderline of a team, that's not a guy I want to wait for because they could just wait the whole year without him. And I wouldn't be surprised. Levert, also no real window. Warren, no window. So I think of the list, Nance, who I didn't say before, Nance, Hunter, Wright, and Gordon are probably the guys that I'm interested in.
Yeah, I agree with Dan. I like Nance, and I like who's the other one you said? Sorry, Nance and
DeLon, yeah. I mean,
just
hopefully
because of sheer opportunity, we're seeing DeLon go back to his Memphis days, which is great to see. The other guy that obviously I would buy low on actually is because the Atlanta Hawks are going to be competitive when he comes back. Is DeAndre Hunter, who is still undervalued by everyone, including me, up until like the last 2 weeks when people are starting to realize, hey, maybe this guy is better than we think. And a deep dive shows you that he's actually been their secondary playmaker this year, which was kind of a surprise to everyone too, because we thought it was going to be Cam Reddish or Kevin Huerter. It's actually been DeAndre Hunter doing the most offense behind Trae Young, which is very interesting. Hitting a ridiculous like 90% on twos or something crazy like that. The defensive stats still aren't really there for as good of a defender he is as he is in real life. 0.9 steals, 0.5 blocks, but everything else checks out, right? 1.7 triples, 17.2 points, really good efficiency, 50% from the field, 87% from the line. I think DeAndre Hunter is a player you can buy low on and get more than fair market value because I still think he's undervalued in the fantasy community.
Yeah, and I've seen him dropped in a bunch of spots. I ran the numbers on it. I think the expectation is to be back somewhere between March 29th and the middle of April. So if you can squat for about a month, maybe 5-6 weeks from here, it's a big lift, but dude was rolling inside the top 60 when he got hurt.
Yeah. I think he's going to be, I have him. I just traded for him. I'm in a 3-sport league and he was part of a giant trade that I did. So I was hoping he's going to be back a little bit before that, but then I also had Durant go down. So we'll see if I even make the playoffs. I'm kind of on the borderline, but if not, I'll be happy for what he does next year. So I like those stashes. What do you have next?
Number 2 on the list, a little game of hold or drop with you guys. I'll try to alternate who gets to go first. Jeremy Lamb, hold or drop, Jonas?
Easy hold for me. I don't even know what he's ranked. I don't have Basketball Monster pulled up, but I think he's like 6th or 7th round still, which is pretty crazy because you have to keep in mind Lamb shoots like 50% from the field, and he's probably one of the best free throw shooters in the league too, and he just doesn't turn the ball over. So he's never going to hurt you anywhere. So you can take some bad games because he's been on and off, but I think he's worth holding on to. I think he's very undervalued.
I think I'm right there with you. I thought about it a couple times because I'm in a shallower 12-man league where I'm like, do I want to drop Lamb? And then I look at the names and I'm like, no, there's no one good enough to drop for him. So to drop him for, excuse me. So I think I'm with Jonas on the hold for Lamb.
I agree. Yeah. You have to be in a very unique situation to not need that, even though he has slowed down a tiny bit. This one, the next two, I think will be a little tougher. Bogman, you get to go first on this one. Nick Batum, he hasn't seemed right since he got his bell rung. Are you holding? He's a drop for you?
Yeah, I'm not holding Nick Batum. Like, he had a nice run at the front of the year, but no one really expected this from him. I think he was preseason ranked post 200. Yeah, he was. And over the last 2 weeks, he ranks 190 in a 9-cat over the last 30 days. 103 better, but the last 2 weeks he's been rough. And, as you're going to mention a little bit in your next subject, it is the year of the streamer. So dump him and pick someone up.
Jonas?
I'm actually going to hold Batum because I have in a bunch of spots. I haven't even considered moving on because, like you said, he got his bell rung. He's shooting 30% from the field the last 2 weeks, but he's still doing the little stuff, right? 1.2 steals and 0.8 blocks in that span. On the season, let me see what he's at in the season. I know it's pretty high. Yeah, he's 7th round on the season, too. Instead of just outright dropping him, I'd rather see what you can get for him, but I'm fine with holding him, too. I think Marcus Morris's emergence has hurt him a little bit, but I still think there's enough upside to be like a late rounder for sure.
Yeah, I'm probably hanging on a little bit longer there just to see if he can regain his game, but can't hold on forever. And now I'll go to a younger guy who we all talked up a little bit, but he seems terrified to take a shot.
Yeah.
So Jonas, what are we doing with Theo Maledon? Because his peripheral stuff still seems pretty good, but he just won't shoot.
Yeah, I'm actually dropping Theo Maladon. I like him long term. I think he's going to be a potential star one day. I really like to fit next to SGA too. But this is the rookie wall we're seeing. Like he's playing a ton of minutes, but the production hasn't been there. And one reason I am dropping because the next 2 weeks is when the streamers, or I should say pickups, really pick up. Because remember, we got the trade deadline coming up on March 25th. We have the All-Star break where players are coming back from injuries. The trade deadline, obviously, like I said, but yeah, there's going to be players. I'm going to be stashing 2 or 3 players in each team, right? Or at least ideally, I'd want to. Like we heard me say Isaiah Roby, all those guys. Like if we hear Bradley Beal's going to get moved, we're going to pick up like a Denny Avdija too. So I am not holding on to these fringe 12 teamers at this moment, this close to the deadline.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. You want to have a couple of roster spots this time of year that are relatively useful. This is a time where I would offer up some 2-for-1s where you might even actually be kind of losing in overall value, but just to get that open roster spot. And we could do a 2-hour show on how 2-for-1s work, but we don't have time for that. Is this the year of the streamer? Bogman, I already know your answer, but why?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. I think it's because, you know, this is something that we've kind of seen in baseball too, where, you know, guys are missing time not only because of injuries, but also because of COVID and other stuff. So it's been a weird year. You don't know where to rank things. You know, we didn't get that lead up to the beginning of the season, and it's the year of the streamer too because so many guys are missing games that you can't really afford to hold on to those guys. So a lot of times you're dropping those guys are getting picked up by somebody else, but then they also drop someone that's better than the last guy on your team. So there's just more movement this year than there ever has been. And I think that the names that are good that we didn't expect are out there. And the fact that there's so much adds and drops this year, so many more on a weekly basis than we've seen in the past. I think that makes this the year of the streamer, Dan.
Mr. Nader.
I completely agree. I write the waiver wire column, obviously, and man, it's just like chocked full every week. I remember Thaddeus Young seeing this guy. Is this guy for real? Sure, let's pick him up and see what happens. Then he starts putting up triple doubles off the bench or close to triple doubles off the bench and just putting up some absurd stat lines. So this is definitely the year of the streamer. Obviously, COVID makes that a reality. When you're missing 6 or 7 guys for 2 weeks at a time, it's going to obviously open things up for everyone. But yes, this is why you don't hold on to fringe players, though. There's too much talent on the waiver wire. You got to move fast and move quick. So yes, the year of the streamer is real, as Dan says, streamer with benefits. But with other guys, it's a season-long affair. Like Thaddeus Young has become a, I don't know what you'd call him, Dan. You have to come up with a term for that.
Now he's just pure benefits, baby.
Yeah.
Where is the streamer with benefits shirt, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, it's in R&D right now.
It should be. It absolutely
that would be a great article. You guys at Hoopball should consider that'd be a fun article.
Streamers with benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those guys are popping up where you're like, well, I might as well grab them and see if they can carve out a role for themselves. But yes, I mean, we're unanimous on this one. Year of the streamer, because there are so many postponements, because there are these COVID absences where you're like, oh, I know exactly how long this guy's going to be out, or at least I know it's going to be a week, maybe 2, maybe more. There are pretty constantly, like multiple per day, we're talking about streamers on the wire that are going to give you in that top 75 range for a couple of weeks, where I think in a normal season, maybe one of those guys pops up on a given week. So it actually does behoove you to have some top 100, top 110 type of guys that you can plop into your lineup and just forget about them. This year, you can just keep rotating that slot around with someone who's better. And it really isn't hurting teams to do it. So hell yes, year of the streamer. We're all in agreement on that one. And those are my 3 things.
All right. Well, my first one that I want to talk about here is the aforementioned Top Shots, which I could not wrap my head around. I had to watch like 3 videos to figure out what it was, really. And I did sign up, but and it's probably my fault. The day I signed up is the day that they delayed the pack opening and all that stuff. I signed up Wednesday. I was ready to go and try to get one on Thursday. Absolutely not happening. They pushed it back to this morning, and I was definitely sleeping this morning. So no, thank you. But Dan, have you looked at this? Have you invested? Do you even know or care what it is at all?
One of our very loyal followers on Hoopball sent me a tutorial video that I watched. And so I have a rough idea. And I mean, again, Buzz Killington over here. This feels like one of those things where people that are kind of on the inside can game the system a little bit and make a fortune. And a lot of folks that are just screwing around are going to get totally, I don't know what the rules are on this show for content.
Just say screwed. Screwed is fine.
Yeah, screwed. We'll go with screwed. Doesn't it? I don't know. I might be totally off base and maybe I'm just a skeptic, but it feels like one of those things where those of us who are like, oh, this seems fun are going to get run out of town.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could be, but it to me, it just feels like a basically the NBA doing their own cryptocurrency. And, I don't really understand everything. I did liken it, the video that I watched likened it to actual art where, they put the security measures to show that this is the real piece that you want to buy. It kind of has the same thing with that. And it's just basically like virtual trading cards, right, Jonas? So is this something you're interested in? Have you bought any or signed up or any of that stuff?
Well, I signed up last week and I tried to get a pack today, and there was a 200,000 a person queue, and you had to be in the top 10,000 to get a pack. And obviously, I was like 60,000 or something like that, so I didn't get in. But I'm actually interested here because it's obviously a bigger story, right? The reason for Top Shot taking off is a much bigger story. Like the value of the dollar is like tanking. We've had 40 years of just countless spending. The money machine goes burr. You've seen those memes. People want to put their money in something else. We've seen Pokemon cards take off. We've seen crypto take off. Basketball cards, the regular cards are back and more valuable than ever. Just random stuff like that is taking off. So I actually think this will hold. I mean, we've seen, like, even look at the stock market, GameStop stock, which is like the next blockbuster, right? Yeah. It suddenly took off because people are mad at the billionaire shorting the company too. So anything can happen in 2021. So I think Top Shot's actually a good buy-in. I think some of the stuff is overpriced. Like a Bismack Biyombo layup is $18. Like what?
Well, there's only like 3 of them historically.
There's a lot of stuff I don't understand, but I do think fantasy people can get an edge here, because if you see like someone's going to be playing a lot more minutes, like let's say Pokusev for the Thunder is going to get called up, maybe pick up a moment and then flip it. You can make some money. It might be a fun thing to do for fantasy people, but I don't quite understand it just yet. But I do want to look more into it.
Yeah, I'm Jonas has the youthful enthusiasm here between the three of us. Absolutely, because
I'm at.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can't believe you're making me the middleman here, but I am because it's not something that I'm into at all whatsoever, but I am into making money. So like if I can get in the queue early one day or something,
right,
and buy a pack, I would easily flip them. I'll take $18 for a Bismack Biyombo layup. So
I'll give you an example. Today you could got a pack for $99. The bare minimum you could sell it for would probably be like $500.
Right.
Or just getting in the top queue is like a casino, right?
Yeah. That's what Welsh said. He was like 190,000 in the queue. So he was like, okay, well, I'll just go do something else with my time. I'm obviously not going to be someone that buys these cards today. So I tell you what, I do like the fact that all of these card people have found a way to make it so that I don't have to go to Target to get cards. Because that was the one thing. Yeah. I'm like, well, I'm not going to go to Target to buy baseball cards. I'm sorry. I'm not.
Wait, can we do a segment on this show about that weird row in Target that has the cards where you'll never find another soul?
It's like up by the cash registers too.
Yeah, like it's usually like around the corner. There's like the birthday greeting cards and then trading cards.
I'm gonna make you sick, Dan. And guys, a box of basketball cards this year, when Panini releases their Prisms, is gonna be like $2,000 at least.
Jeez. All right, maybe I'll go to Target. So if I can get $2,000. Yeah, maybe I'll go to Target, buy some cards. We'll see. But all right, so that was my one. The Welsh and I were talking about that, so we had to have you guys chime in, of course. My second topic here is Dynasty Keeper strategy. If you're in the middle right now, where do you guys lean? Because we know in the real NBA, it's tough to be in the middle. You either want to be at the high end winning games and going deep in the playoffs, or you want to be low so you can rebuild your team with high draft picks and stuff like that. So, which is why they added the differences in the lottery to avoid all the tanking and stuff and teams trading away players for nothing. But if you're in fantasy, and I'll start with you, Jonas, how's the timer looking? What do we got left? 10 minutes?
I got like 3:30. So I'm going to do
3:30. That's it. Okay. Well, we'll go fast. So what do you think?
Both your questions for him here, and then I'll do both after that.
So I have that question, and then your thoughts on the Wolves with Chris Finch through the first 2 games.
Okay, so real quick, if you're in a dynasty league, if you don't have a let's say 30-team dynasty league, if you don't have a top 10 player, you're not winning. You should be blowing up, buy low, sell high, all that good stuff. Go get your Lucas, trade in all your picks for Lukas, the Zions, the JJs, the Treys. Do whatever you can to consolidate. Just consolidate year after year, and eventually you will have a stacked roster. But you do not want to be in the middle. So if you have a mediocre team of veterans that have no trade value, you're screwed, right? Go if you're going to rebuild, go for youth and upside, stuff like that. For the second question, Chris Finch, I really like what I'm seeing from Cat. 16 assists through 2 games. He is running pretty much all of his offense through him. Malik Beasley would have been a beast, but he's now suspended for 12 games. His points per minute were actually higher with Cat. So I think Jarrett Culver could be sneaky here, but like I said, he's far from a finished product. Let's see what happens there. But other impressions, keep an eye on Jordan McLaughlin, Jared Vanderbilt, who had a really good game last game, like 34 minutes, something like that. Really good line, 4 steals. Jared Vanderbilt is my pickup right now if I had to pick one, and Jaden McDaniels is my just pure stash with like that Jonathan Isaac skill set.
All right. Well, we'll let Jonas go. So he has a couple times before his bomb goes off. So Jonas, remember to follow him on the Twitter at Jonas Nader. What's coming up over at NBC Sports Edge this week?
Yep. So check me out on Twitch every Tuesday at 2:00 Eastern for a Q&A session. Lasts about an hour. And every Sunday I will do a waiver wire column. And for the season pass members, I'll be doing a Dynasty stock watch for players for that buy low, sell high, all that good stuff.
All right. Well, we will see you next week, Jonas. Go get that computer debugged and re-securityed and all that good stuff. And we will see you next week. Take it easy, Jonas. All right, Danny. So for you, these next 2 questions, same ones, obviously. Dynasty strategy. Are you with Jonas? If you don't have a top 10 player, you got to sell?
So I am in exactly 0 dynasty leagues. I am in a keeper league. I don't like dynasty leagues. I don't like the stress of replacing teams, and the whole thing feels like it's held together with sinew on an annual basis. Like keeper leagues, even that's been kind of stressful because I always end up commissionering my leagues because I'm on my fantasy.
It's a lot more work. It definitely is way more work.
There's all this inputting. There's still a lot of stuff that has to be done manually, and you got to track everything. And anyway, enough of the fuddy-duddy stuff. In my keeper league, I go for it every damn time. I'm always going for it. That doesn't work in dynasty leagues if you're going to be in one for 10, 15 years. Most keeper leagues have various roster turnover requirements that favor teams that are going for it. If you give up early and get a couple good keepers, you probably can only keep them for 2, maybe 3 years, and you create this window, but it's going to blow up again soon anyway. All your hard work of just punting and putting money into a pot, if you don't cash it in quickly, you're screwed. So for me, I'm going for it. Almost always. It's
a good point that you make too about just the fact that these leagues kind of turn over. Like, the Welsh was doing an industry one called RDI for baseball, and that one I think just collapsed. So, those leagues do tend to sometimes disband or unfold or whatever, especially, with what has been going on the last few years.
Yeah.
With COVID and everything, some people just wholly and completely checking out of sports. So, that stuff does happen. So I'm with you for the most part to go for it. I would say that if I have older vets and I'm kind of middling right now, and I don't think my team is going to do great, if I'm holding on to CP3, trade him now, trade him at his peak, because it's just going to be downhill from here. And I don't even know 3 years ago was probably his peak, but now take what you can get for him. So things like that, look at the overall assessment of your team. I think what Jonas says is probably pretty solid. If you don't have a top 10 player and you're middling, try to go get one and bury it for this year. So it is a different dynamic between keeper and dynasty, like you said, because typically in dynasty, you keep everyone, so you're less likely to blow that up. But keeper, if you're keeping, 3 to 5 players, then just try to acquire a better one, even if they're hurt for this year, and then get better for next year. What are your thoughts on the Wolves with Finch as the new coach here?
I've seen no change really so far. With Beasley out, they're going to be forced to make some adjustments. I'm keeping a close watch on Jonas' favorite, Jared Vanderbilt, and Jordan McLaughlin is the other one who's been mostly a backup point guard, but I do wonder if they'll have to slot him in for sort of some 2-point guard lineups with Ricky Rubio, because he was collecting a whole bunch of assists and steals, and he kind of has a similar fantasy makeup to Ricky Rubio. It does seem like Vanderbilt, if any, is going to be the guy that carves out a little bit of a role here, and it might be tied to Beasley, but that's just the thing. 3-4 weeks right now, is a big deal. The year of the streamer. Find someone who's kicking ass for 2 or 3 weeks and just ride them, because someone else is probably going to pop up during the last week that streamer has value. So you can just get in front of it, like Billy Bean it. Just as soon as your streamer is about to expire, just get in front of it, pick up the next one, and it could be Vanderbilt, where they'll probably go a little bigger. They don't have Beasley. He's been, I think, technically their shooting guard, but he and Edwards have been the 2 wings, and they'll just bring everybody else down a slot. You know, they'll play big. So keep an eye on Vanderbilt. I don't know that anybody else is really leapfrogging anyone. I don't think they have the pieces right now for Finch to move guys around a bunch. And then, you know, whether or not D'Angelo Russell gets part of a season under his belt coming back and he and Beasley come back around the same time, you'll have to kind of reassess at that point. But again, who cares? Just look for the 3 weeks in front of you right now. Just stream like a madman, because the worst guy on your team is probably worse than the best available streamer this year. Almost all the time.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good way to put it, is the guy at the end of your bench, there's no way he's better than the best streamer right now.
And I don't think that's the case every year.
No, it's definitely not, because there have been plenty of years where I just look and I go, ugh, there's just nothing out there.
Yeah, I'll just like, screw it. I'll roll Cody Zeller out for another 2 weeks. But
yeah, exactly.
I don't need him. He's not playing well. Poof. Gone.
Sometimes I do that in my 16-man league too, but I've actually been taking a longer look, and I'm at least staring at the wire a little bit harder than I have in the past. Yeah. Even if I don't end up pulling the trigger, I'm at least looking like, do I want to make this move or not? Because it's at least much closer than it has been in the deeper league. So yeah, hopefully what we got through today helped you. Hopefully,
I have 8 names, by the way. I have 8 names. I did a list this morning for my own show of streamers that I thought are really good right now. Bruce Brown, DeAndre Jordan, Emmanuel Quickly, Facundo Campazzo, Monty Morris, Saban Lee, Josh Jackson, Kendrick Nunn. They've all been kicking ass as streamers. 8 guys right now that are probably better than your worst bench player.
Absolutely. Would you take any of those guys over Batum?
About half of them, I think.
Half of them? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's what we were talking about Batum earlier. So
DeAndre Jordan, great streamer with Kevin Durant out, because they have no choice but to play him at center, and Jeff Green would end up in the power forward minutes. Saban Lee with DeLon Wright. I'd probably lean Batum there. I would definitely go Kendrick Nunn. He's been great lately.
Yeah, Kendrick Nunn has been real good recently. Yeah.
And then, the other ones are a little questionable because they're very short term. Like Bruce Brown probably expires if either Jeff Green or KD comes back.
Why did they have Campazzo take that 3 the other night, by the way?
I don't know. Like heat of the moment type stuff, but it is pretty weird in a 3-on-1 break that no one went to the rim. That's pretty weird. The Nuggets are out to lunch this year. That's bubble stuff, man. These deep bubble teams are all a mess.
Yeah, and you called that too before the season started. So
I didn't think it was going to last this long. I thought they'd have it going for March.
Yeah, but it has been happening. I was really happy to see that. Here's the Rockets have lost 9 straight, and here's the second half schedule, and they have the hardest schedule of any team left. So there you go. Yeah, that's going to make the second half a lot of fun to watch.
I mean,
yeah, getting him back will absolutely help.
When he got hurt, they pretty much went into the toilet.
Yeah, and it's been toilety pretty recently.
A little swampy there.
A little swampy, a little boggish, if you will. So, but all right, well, that's gonna wrap it up for us. We had a quick show. Hopefully, Jonas did not blow up and he defused the bomb before it went off. Remember, you can follow us on the Twitter at Bogman Sports for me, at Dan Bespris for Dan. What's coming up at Hoopball? What are you guys up to?
The usual, man. We're in the grind. These are the dog days of the NBA season. Fantasy NBA Today, my own podcast. The second week of the All-Star break, I'll have some special shows on trading for ROI, stashes, and second half type of stuff. So that's probably the only thing that's a little different than usual. I'll be digging into some of the All-Star prop bets next week as well. But all of the good stuff is that thing I'm pointing at on the TV, and for the audio listeners, that's my Twitter handle at Dan Bespris. Just Google search Dan from Hoopball. Don't bother trying to spell it. That's it. That's all I got.
BESBRIS is not that hard. So
you wouldn't think so, but it ends up in a lot of different iterations.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe what was the movie where they're like, yeah, maybe you hear with an accent. So it's not that hard to figure out.
Makes me sound fancy.
but yeah, check out our Patreon too, patreon.com/ITL Army. We got all kinds of stuff for you. A lot of baseball going on right now. It's baseball preseason. So we got rankings. We got Hell Week coming up for that. Boo. He's pointing to the Dodger stuff. Boo. But we've got rankings. The Welsh has his top 500 minor league rankings. I'm working on NFL draft stuff as well. Dynasty ranks there too. So streams every single week, usually during the Rockets getting pounded is when I do some of those streams. So that's fun to watch for sure. And secret shows and all that good stuff. So please check it out if you would. And we will see you guys next week. Take it easy, everybody.